Alright, so this next section says to simplify these by taking square roots, which I don't know, may sound difficult, but all it really means is that square roots is all you need to solve this. You don't need completing the square. You don't need the quadratic formula. All you have to do is say, okay, v squared is equal to negative 16. You square root both sides to get rid of that square, and you get v equals plus or minus. Okay, so anytime you have taken something that was squared and you square root it, there's a positive or negative answer, because negative 2 squared is 4 and 2 squared is 4. Both of them work. There's a positive answer and a negative answer. Okay, but then we've got the square root of negative 16. So how do we handle that? Well, we can break it up into negative 1 and 16. So anytime there's a negative sign, the square root of negative 1 is present, which means there's an imaginary portion, an I. And 16 happens to be a perfect square, which is 4. And so your answer is plus or minus 4i. So if we did negative 4i and we squared it, that would be negative 4i times negative 4i, which would be 16i squared. I squared is negative 1, so that's negative 16, which is what it's supposed to equal. So that's why it's a solution. That is the 0 for this equation that we've got right there. All right, next one. Similar, it just requires a step before you take the square root. So divide by 10. You get a squared equals 2. And now look, so I've seen several people, they'll just put the square root on it right away. And that causes you problems because you have to not only do the square root of a squared, which gets you a, but the square root of 10 now is there. I mean, you can still do it mathematically. It's much easier to divide first. Then you're going to take the square root of both sides. Get a equals plus or minus square root of 2. No I, it's not negative, so there's no imaginary component. And 2 is not a perfect square, so that's as simplified as you can get it. And the last one in this section, as far as the odds go, you're going to solve it like you've been solving. So you get 3x squared equals negative 18. Divide by 3. You square root both sides. Get x equals plus or minus the square root of negative 6. 6 isn't a perfect square, and it also doesn't have any factors that are perfect squares. So it's going to have to stay. But what can come out is that negative sign come out as an I to show that we have imaginary zeros here. All right. We're almost there. Light at the end of the tunnel. Hang in there. You're doing great.